Good morning, Warriors! Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. It is warrior time this morning again. The weather's getting a little cooler, which I like. Not that heat all the time. I like a little bit of cool weather. Fall is nice. It's coming in, so it's very enjoyable to get things done and to continue on our streak. I think I'm at now 830, so we're pretty good there. And monk mode, I think I did 71, so that's good as well. So we're hanging in there. We're moving ahead, and we keep going, even through any sort of temptations or anything that's through us. So I because there's so many people sending me stuff, I lose track of people sometimes, and I apologize. But I do want to shout out to people a little bit from the past here. So let me look at my list here a little bit. I have Tylon. Thank you, Tylon. I think I said that right. Tylon. Thank you for your comment. Mario, I think I appreciate your comments. 2 months that you're on retention. That's great. Continue the great work on that. And then I'm going to talk about David Judah made a nice comment they want to talk about. So we'll do that as well. And we'll kind of focus on that through our video for today. So please go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, donate. All those type of things are always appreciated. I try to put the donation link in there as much as possible. It's not something that's obviously the key important thing for me. The goal that I have really is to try to get this word out, because I know how I suffered through this for 47 years. So to me, I wanted to kind of get a lot of the information out so the younger people don't have the same experience that I had with this and are able to control this earlier and be able to kind of deal with it. So that's kind of my main purpose. Certainly if I, can help out a lot of the money any money that I get, I will try to put back into the channel and maybe try to do better things. I'm still working on getting a computer. I work so many hours in a week that it's very difficult for me to kind of get around and get things done, but I will try to do that when I get a break as much as possible, and I try to get these videos out, at least try to get something out every day. I know it's not the best quality, but it's something that we're going to keep working on. But the main thing to me is the content, not really the production and things like that. So thank you guys for all your support, and I think we're up to 570 subscribers, so that's wonderful. And I'm just so very grateful for that, and grateful to you guys for participating. All right, so David Judah made a very interesting comments, and I appreciate. Shout out to you, David. Thank you so much for taking the time to comment. And he was talking about the fact that what women are recognizing is the masculinity. And so I think he said beholding masculinity, which I think is a good word to use. Like I said, back in the 60s and 70s when I was growing up, you saw a lot of that. I had people, I think I did one on John Wayne, even movie, stars like Bela Lugosi. There's a lot of masculinity. And I think over the years, because we've kind of dumbed this down with this matrix that I keep talking about, that people actually, for whatever reason, whether it's purposeful or not, you have a lot of males who are being dumbed down, who don't really, are not as strong, and they are like beta males. And part of that's because of the pornography, part of it's because of the feminist movement. All these type of things have happened to, kind of put men to a position where they're not the strength. And I think the biggest thing is not so much the femininity or anything like that. The biggest thing really is going back and focusing on losing your energy. That's really where men have suffered the most. And so then they adopt a lot of behaviors that are really not very becoming. And so it's hard for a woman to behold a masculine man. And once they see one of those, then they turn. It's amazing to me, and I think David was revealing a bunch of stories too, that at this age, at my age of 61, it just shows you that age is not that important. Obviously it's important to some level if people start thinking about kids and all kind of stuff, sure. I mean, they think about how well you're going to look, those type of things. But that's not really in the long run what a lot of, especially women. Now, men may look at it differently because they look at the image. They look more at the visual type of picture. This is why we're in trouble. That's why most men are the ones in trouble when it comes to retention, not women, because women don't look at it from the same perspective. Yes, of course they can get addicted, but not to the same level, not to the same way, in my opinion, than men do. Because men are very visual. I remember, I think it was Hugh Hefner or someone said, men are voyeurs. This is why he got them into Playboy. That's why he basically set up Playboy, because he knew, Playboy magazine, because he knew that men were like that. And I think that, men are visually oriented, for the most part, especially when it comes to women. And so they see women and they're attracted to women because of what they see. So when you look at this whole thing, when you're looking and seeing what is the actual idea that you're looking for, you're looking to kind of see whether or not, you have that masculinity. And that's what females are really looking for. And so as he talks about this, I think it's a very important point. The Bible talks about the masculinity in many different ways, and it obviously talks about the fact that you become dirty if you lose energy and you're not retaining. And so the thing is that when you're looking at this, I believe that it's important to recognize that other people see you. Now, some people will like that, some people won't. I think if you walk into a bar, you may get some people who are drunk, especially males, who might feel intimidated and may push back. And I've seen that happen a lot. I've seen situations. So I try to avoid situations where I would have that kind of confrontation. And I think for the most part, I've been kind of successful, but I've seen the jealousy, the anger coming out for no apparent reason at all. And I think a lot of it is because people see that, and a lot of men in this world today are not that way. And that's a very important type of point, because a lot of men are not that way right now. They struggle, and they appear to be one way or another. I mean, there's a big difference between arrogance and confidence. Confidence comes with the semen retention. You have confidence that you can achieve things and do things. Arrogance really is thinking about yourself, and so you're really creating an insecurity with the arrogance. And so people can tell a difference. They may be attracted at first, but in the long run, they are the person that really is the insecure person, and you can kind of tell that comes out in their behaviors, or being drunk all the time, or things like that. So as you look at the situation, I think it's really important to understand that you are going to be very special and unique in this type of situation, because you're mastering the idea of self-control. And that's really what this comes down to, a matter of self-control. If you're able to control this, obviously you're going to control a lot of other behaviors around you, and you're going to become more effective. But you've got to get a handle on yourself. And as I said to other people, what you're doing is really, what the problem really is that you are losing control of yourself. And this is really where the battle is. The battle is with yourself. And I think, as David, greatly points out, masculinity is something that you just can't find. And I think that's why it's important to recognize that you need to build it. Now, do we all go back and do we make mistakes? Yes, of course we do. People release, and I had struggled with that whole thought idea for 47 years. But the idea is that you're eventually going to understand one or two things. Either you've got to stop this behavior, and you've got to make it a lifestyle change, or you're going to succumb to it and never try. And that's not in my DNA to ever give up on anything. And so that's why I decided, okay, I'm just gonna go full turkey on this whole thing and go monk mode. And so even though I've had struggles back with monk mode, I'd rather have the monk mode issue than having the nofap issue. And that's an easier way to deal with it for me. So not releasing in 840 some days was a result of going monk mode. And even though I'm only 71 days in monk mode, obviously I've had a couple of issues with that as we've gone along. But it's getting better, and monk mode is something I'm working on, because if you're in a habit for so many years, it is not easy to break that habit. But you're going to continue to strive for excellence, and you want to be an excellent man. And I call it the Aristotle man, that you're the balanced person. Plato and Aristotle, Socrates, all those philosophers talked about the well-balanced person, a person who is in self-control. And those are the types of things that you really kind of want to focus on. So David, I think, brings up a good point. Women are beholding masculinity. They're seeing what a true man is. So whenever you see this type of thing of where the true men are, that question really is not coming from even though it comes from a conscious state where they're looking for men, they're not looking for simps and men who just kind of do anything for them. They're looking for a man who is dominant. They're looking for a man who has that retention and who's in control of themselves. Remember, guys, if you control yourself, you control a lot of things around you, because now you have the power. It's almost like negotiating. I did a lot of negotiating over the years, and what I realized is that if you can walk away from the table, you have a lot of power. And I think that's the whole key to the whole thing, whatever negotiation it is. So you have the power. If you can walk away from a woman, you have all the power in the world. If you cannot, and you're obsessed, or you're at the point where you can't just kind of move on, well, then you're kind of stuck in a situation. And I think that's kind of part of the key. Now, you have to kind of detach to some level to do that. But men, that's how men operate. Men really kind of focus on trying to get things done. And so the more you're focusing on your goals, the more you're focusing on your ideas and your plan, the less you're going to struggle with this whole thing. And I think that's when we talk about transmuting, that you're able to do this. I was reading again, as I think I did a video on this, the story of Samson and Delilah. And Samson was so dominant for such a long time, with a lot of people, and so strong, until he ran into Delilah. And Delilah was someone who he fell in love with. And the love part of things makes things very difficult, because you do want to give, and I think males tend to be very much givers. They're giving on work, they're giving on things they're doing, and they're givers. Trouble with that, if you find someone who takes advantage of that, like Delilah did, well, then you're kind of stuck. And so you have to be careful. This is why the MGTOW movement has become popular, in my opinion. I think men are kind of seeing a lot of this, and how they're being treated, and the attitude they're seeing with all the females that they see, and they're saying, no, I don't want this anymore. And that's going to be a good thing in the long run, because I think things will again balance out one day. I think all this stuff that we're talking about, where people, they're saying a lot of crazy things for different reasons, more of the agendas that they have. I think it will balance out. And the one thing I think is really important, and it really comes down to, is the fact that we need masculine males in this society. We need as many of those as we can, because we have a lot that are not. And when you see some of these behaviors, it just disgusts me. it just disgusts me. I mean, to my level, these type of behaviors really, and I'm not gonna say anything bad about anybody, because I think that a lot of reasons we fall into these situations, but the behavior itself just bothers me to no end. It's a case where it is just wrong, and if it's wrong, then it just bothers me, and just not something is right. It's unacceptable. Now, people can choose what they want to do. I'm never going to say that, but I also think you're going to get the consequences of those type of behaviors. Now, unfortunately, the thing about it is that I think a lot of them, when they don't have God in their life, and they don't experience God, they've never had God, then they suffer. And so I have a lot of empathy with that part of it, because a lot of times people are not brought up with God and understanding that some of these things are just against God's purpose. They've never read the Bible, they've never gone to church, they've never prayed, and I understand that. But at some level, each human being, as they grow, has to have that instinctual thing inside of them that's God's talking to them. And they have to choose, just like Pharaoh did with Moses, choosing not to believe in God, choosing the as they call, harden the heart. And if you harden your heart when it comes to semen retention, you're going to struggle with everything in your life. And I think part of it is really kind of recognizing that as you struggle more, you're going to get deeper and deeper into the problem. So as you see this, it's important to recognize that this is a lifestyle type change. You're changing your lifestyle type of thing, to focus on what is good and what is the best type of thing for you in the long run. And I think once again, the Bible is the best tool to use for all that, just from a practical standpoint, forgetting about the relationship you have with the Lord, though it all starts with that. Just from a practical standpoint, if you follow a lot of the things in that Bible when it comes to the 10 Commandments, when it comes to preparing the semen retention, all this type of stuff we're talking about, you're going to be much more in the purpose of the Lord. And I think that's kind of what you want. And that's one of the reasons why I am doing all this. We talk about it, 12 years, and I think someone mentioned that with brahmacharya, but 12 years to me, and I think it goes back to me reading something with Malcolm X. And the idea is that the belief is that after 12 years, you're going to be closer to the Lord. And I think that's something that I really believe is the case. I think the more and more I do this, the more I get away from the worldly types of things, and the more I get focusing on the Lord. And I think that's the key type of thing. So the more I do this, the more better I feel with all that. And I'm going to continue doing that. And the lifestyle change is going to be there until my last days. So that's why I feel that this is really very, very important, because this is a whole kind of new lease on life with me over the last few years. In some ways, COVID, I think, helped me in a lot of ways. And this was one of those, to be able to kind of get within yourself and kind of focus on your own issues, which I had, and to make those stronger. So again, I think that David, thank you again for your contribution, and a shout out to you, my friend. You are again right on target here with this comment you're making, focusing on the whole idea that women really, the attractiveness comes from the fact that they behold masculinity. They're not sure what it is that they're feeling, but they feel that this man that's in front of them is an attractive man, because they have something. Now, you can call it, and I guess the word vibe is a little back in style again. I used to call it that vibe back when I was a kid. But when you have vibes, you have a certain vibe. Energy is that vibe. There's no doubt about that. And because of that, then you're focusing on a lot of those strong type of masculine and male characteristics that are really something that's important. And no one can duplicate that. And the male has to be that way. You can't have the female like that. It's got to be male. Female has their own energy level, and the female has their own roles. And nowadays they want to kind of do all that crazy flip-flopping and everything like that. It's never going to work, because you've got to have males and females. You'll destroy society if you continue doing it, but it's never going to work. And what's going to happen is you're going to make a lot of weak people. This is why I think that you're going to run into situations where you're going to have, some people upset with you, because this is an idea, like all these other ideas, that people don't want to hear about. They don't want masculine males. I mean, it's kind of like, it's almost like this is a bad thing now. Well, it's not really a bad thing. It's the way men should be. But because society wants people to be different somehow because of all these things, or atrocities, or whatever I call them, the idea is that males are the ones who need to be masculine, and males are the ones who need to have that sort of level of strength and being able to be strong when it comes to doing things in our society and leadership type roles. There's no reason, obviously, females can't be leaders and do those things as well, but we're talking about males being strong here, being masculine, and that is hard to find. This is why David made the comment. So again, shout out to David, thank you for that. The main thing is to obviously continue, as he mentioned, talking about the Lord and making sure that we are based in that first, and retention will come from that as well. All right, my friends, well, good talk this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We are focusing on masculinity and making sure that we continue on our path to gaining stronger masculinity and being strong men. So, guys, have a great day. Warriors, battle on, and continue to keep the banner of our masculinity and keeping the strength that we need to continue to have to focus on all our tasks and goals and accomplishments and victories today. All right, guys, God bless you guys. Have a great day. And again, battle on!